Good evening and welcome to Conversations for Actors, Authors, and Storytellers. My guest this evening is the fabulous, incredibly talented, and very close personal friend of mine, and one of the best stage wives I've ever had in my life, the incredible Amy Aquino, who plays Lieutenant Grace Billets on the hit Amazon series Bosch. Starring Caius Welliver and you as his lieutenant in the Hollywood RHD. And she's had over a 30-year career, Broadway, television, film, Moonstruck, Working Girl, Everybody Loves Raymond. One of those faces that we see all the time and that I don't see nearly enough personally.
I agree.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. It's been interesting. We just got back to work on season 7. We're one of the first groups to go back to work here in Los Angeles. In other countries where they've had much better luck with COVID, it's a little bit easier. People will come in and just quarantine for 2 weeks, but here in LA, obviously California's had a hard time, so it's a bit of a challenge going back and staying safe. I'm actually sitting in my guest house, which is an itty bitty guest house. Don't get any ideas, but where I will have to stay for a part of the time because I don't want to take the chance of getting my real husband infected. So it's interesting. What's that?
Me, you wouldn't care.
Much less so. Much less so. You are, by the way, you are among my favorite stage spouses as well. I was a little bit hurt by that. I really thought I was.
When I tell you why I say one of my favorite stage spouses, you'll understand why. Do you know who the other one is? You know who the other one is.
You told me, but I forget. I put it out of my mind.
Lisa Emery.
I know. So she's really, really good. But
we did dinner with friends together.
For the purposes of this, I think I should be your favorite.
We did dinner with friends together for a year. I can't write her off.
I wouldn't. Okay, that's all right. So I am one of that is extremely good company to be in.
I have.
She's doing a show right now, right?
She's doing Ozark.
She did Ozark, and she was fucking fabulous.
Oh yeah, she's terrible on that show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've seen her a million times on stage and she's wonderful, but I'm watching and I go, who is that? Oh my God. And then I go, oh, that's Lisa.
Yeah, but I've seen you be incredibly terrifying in things. I have a clip of you being really, really scary.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want to see it?
Because I'm usually hired to be like the soft and cuddly mom. Yes, sure. Go ahead. Roll the videotape.
I saw this and I didn't sleep for a week after seeing this. I was so frightened.
Oh, hello.
What are you doing here?
I'm watching my daughter sell cookies.
But this is my spot.
Is that so?
I think you know that.
I think you know where my parents live.
Molly, why don't you go inside for a few minutes and get some ice cream?
Yeah, Allie, why don't you go with Molly and get some ice cream? Her mom's treating.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom.
I had you pegged the minute you walked in the door. If you're going to be part of the Frontier organization, there's one thing you need to understand.
What's that? ABC? Always be cranky?
Look, I want you to get out of here.
Why? This is a great spot. I'm selling tons of cookies.
In our organization, there's some rules that everyone must follow.
Yeah, your rules.
That's right. Read the sash.
Listen, lady, when you came onto my street and sold to my family, you crossed a line.
Your family happens to live in my neighborhood, so yeah, I sold to them. And you know what? I enjoyed it.
So scared the crap out of me.
You didn't even get, actually doing the whole thing actually scared the crap out of me too. And they became an amazing family for me. They were so welcoming, but that was, the first episode I shot there. I ended up doing 3 more, but you cut before we got to the real action. When we actually get into a physical battle, and I ended up taking his folding table, and I got him on the ground, and I'm pressing this folding table into his neck. And of course, we're trying to do it without I don't actually remember a stunt coordinator there, for the record, paging SAG after. But we, I said, all right, you pull, I'll pull and you pull, and it will look like I'm pushing and stuff. But the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, if we slip and this table goes into his larynx and breaks it, not only will it be really painful for him, but it will be so many millions and millions and millions of dollars that I will be responsible for wasting. So it was really terrifying. And then right after that, while I've got him on the ground, Patty Heaton is, Deborah comes by, sees it, and she just walks up, takes the table, throws it. He's, Ray's like this on the ground. Clearly, she's not as worried about it as I am. But they were so sweet, and it was such a great role. It was so much fun.
Well, he is a lovely guy to work with. I got to work.
Yeah, you worked with him on. Oh my God, he's become a brilliant actor. I noticed it while I was working with him. I thought, just the first scene, I thought, oh my God, look at this subtle relationship he's got with everybody, and the physical. I mean, he's one of the comedians who really, really worked on his craft, and he has become an amazing actor. I mean, Men of a Certain Age. What was it where he played the guy in the spectrum? Brothers and sisters, or
I'm not sure, but
You know.
really, really terrific.
anyway. Yeah, amazing.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, where you come from. One of the questions I like to ask every actor there's a few questions I like to ask every actor who comes on the show is, what was the initial thing that made you want to perform?
Wow. I started doing it so young. It's really, I was doing it a little bit even in elementary school. And then I was doing a lot of different arts when I was in junior high school and high school. I mean, I played the bassoon, I played, and I started actually as a visual artist, but
Bassoon,
I played the bassoon.
because you wanted to be popular with the guys. That's yeah.
Huh? Oh no, popular with the guys was not anywhere on my priority list in high school. I can show you pictures. Actually, I should have brought it over. A friend of mine sent me a clipping of from high school, from the Marionite, the high school newspaper, and it's like, Aquino proposes abolishing 3-time membership, because I was a vice president. I started as sergeant at arms, and then I was vice president. And I decided that people should not just be allowed to vote in student council if they show up for 3 meetings. I'm sorry. So, and it's a picture of me, and I'm looking very stern. I don't know what. Certainly, I always love to make people laugh. I was very shy when I was young. When I was a little girl, I was kind of on my own. My parents were much older. They had not planned on me or my sister, Janet, who was 3 years older than me. And my dad kind of filled in. My mom was like, okay, you wanted kids? There's your kids. And she's kind of checked out, and because she was ready. They had planned their first 3 kids, and which was very unusual for, Catholic Italian Americans at that time. They were married in 1937, and they had worked it all out. So now she was done, and now she's 42 and she's got this infant. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I have other things to do. So I was left on my own a lot, and I think, and I was kind of quiet and shy, and there was something about, I guess, being on stage and that I really enjoyed. And at some point, making people laugh, I just found that very powerful. I can't really define it more than that. But I was not, as you know, somebody who was, oh my God, I have to do this or I'm going to die. Because I majored in biology when I went to college. I thought I would be a doctor, in large part because I recognized that, your odds of making a living as an actor are very, very slim. And that is true, statistically speaking, very true. So I was getting my degree. I was still doing I did a ton of theater in college, but I got my degree in biology because I just figured I'll be a doctor, because I enjoyed that too. I'm very kind of left-brained and right-brained, which works for me or not. So I'm sorry it's not a more definitive answer.
No, but what the next question I like to ask is, so that's where you started. Where are you now with it? What's important to you now that keeps you doing it?
Health insurance. Inertia. It's what I do. It's what I have. I've built up this career and I've built up a certain amount of legitimacy, obviously. And I do still like telling stories, and I like creating characters, and I still like making people laugh, even in Bosch, which is not a laugh riot. I always, whatever show I'm doing, show, movie, whatever, I always, because I do this in my life, I always try to find the humor and bring some humor in there. And as you know, I love doing our play. I love doing plays. I love doing plays with great people. I love, when I can do real give and take with somebody like you. That's actually, that's what I really love, but I need to do something to pay for the theater. Right. Because theater doesn't pay shit. So, right. I don't know what keeps driving me. It's a good question. I wish, I would love to be able to make people laugh more. I'd love to be able to use that side of myself more. And hopefully, once Bosch is, hopefully that would be my next act, so to speak, is to do something
more fun comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want you and me on that couch that we had in the Seagull.
Where we were sitting.
Not
lying down.
No, we were sitting, we were drinking wine and bickering. And
ever so quietly. Oh my God.
I could spend the rest of my life doing that. Those two with you.
This was this wonderful play called The Seagull for your people out there, by wonderful playwright, also from Yale School of Drama, and it wasn't this. Yes, and it wasn't the seagull like seagull. It was the seagull, SIEGEL.
Like the Jew.
And, what's that? Like the Jew. Like the Jew. I actually found, and I was driving back from work through Hollywood, and I just went in the car because I looked over, and I've driven this thing so many times, and I went, what the? I passed, because here in LA they like to name buildings.
Yeah.
Give them these cute little names. And I'm going by and I see, oh my God,
The Seagull.
The Seagull, spelled correctly. I've been driving. It's like a mile from my house.
That's the Sea Gel. The Sea Gel. So another question I like to ask actors is, do you think of yourself as having a method or having a toolbox?
Probably the latter. I got an instrument.
A ladder. You have a ladder. Sorry.
Here, I gotta check my settings. Let me see. Let me just turn it up a tiny bit. It's a Zoom humor. I think I'm more of a toolbox, and I've got a toolbox, and then I also have this thing that's just me. That was me from when I was little. That is this innate thing that I just do without having to think about it. It's like how I take things in and how I see things.
Yeah.
And then I've got the toolbox, which helps me expand that and make it more specific. And the things I go back to. Jamie and I had a moment. Jamie Hector, who plays Jagger on Bosch. In the first season, I think we were doing a scene together, and I completely adore him. And we were doing a scene, and then and we did one take, and I went, you know what? Where did we just come from? And where are we going after this? And it was like, you know what? You and I, we got to keep an eye on each other, and we're going to remind each other we have to do like acting 101. Make sure we're doing like basic shit, because it gets to a point where you can rely on your innate thing to just kind of do it and make the line sound cool, and
then you can
forget and then facts. But you forget the facts of it, and then you're not actually telling the story.
Right.
And with him, I'll definitely connect with him. I mean, the tools, as you know, most important thing, be listening to the other person. You have to. Then people may think that's just obvious, but as you know, it really isn't. There are plenty of actors who they could do whatever they're doing, at home in their bedroom, and it wouldn't make any difference to their performance. But what makes a performance interesting between two people is when they're actually, connecting and bobbing off of each other. But then there's these other just really basic acting 101 things. What am I trying to do? Where are you coming from? Where are you going? What do you need to achieve in this scene? What do you know? What do you not know? And those are, you can get lazy, but you can't, and you shouldn't, because audiences won't know, and they won't, what the heck? The scene's just going to fall flat, and it's not going to make sense, and it's not going to tie in to everything. Oh, Eleanor Risa, I love being on the couch with you. Oh, so.
And then my friend Robert wants to know if you find getting a laugh now as satisfying as you did when you first started out.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually
find it more satisfying now.
Yeah, it could be.
When you first start out, it's like, oh, my God, I did something and it worked and it made them laugh. And at this point, it more feels like you're playing the piano.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
if I do this, I can make the audience make this sound.
We had from the Seagull, which you did 2 years ago, when you had that moment, after I exit, we've had this scene together in the bedroom. And then I go up, I say, I'm going to go wash my hair. I'm really kind of looking forward to it. And for no apparent reason, I got a big laugh on that. And then I'd be off stage. They'd be like, beat, beat. And suddenly the audience is laughing like crazy, even though Matthew's got nothing to say. Like, what the fuck are you doing after I leave the stage? And he loved that laugh more than anything else in that whole show. Is that correct, Matthew? Yes, it is.
Well, what I loved was that I didn't find that laugh until we'd already been open for about a week. And you would go off stage every night getting that last laugh in that scene, and you were so proud of yourself. And then I figured out something I could do to get another laugh in the scene after you exited. And I knew that then when the scene was over, I knew what was going to happen, that I was going to walk off stage and that you would be waiting for me and saying, what the hell are you doing out there? And it was actually the very simplest thing I've ever done.
And it was based in the relationship that we built together as characters.
Yeah, it was still part of the story. It wasn't some cheap laugh. As a friend of mine used to say, it's not cheap. It's priced to move.
And I don't think, from what you explained, never having seen it, because I couldn't see you from the wings, but it was based in how you felt about me, and that's and it's like my stuff with Eleanor.
Who says that you look great, by the way.
Why, thank you. You like my Corona? This is my Corona Cougar, I call it.
Corona Deville.
It's my husband, my real husband, when I first blew it out and I started to have the white in there, he said, "Oh, you're doing a whole, oh God, what was her name on the Munsters?
Morticia.
No, Munsters.
Yvonne
the actress, Yvonne DiCarlo. He said, you're doing a whole Yvonne DiCarlo thing. I said, because I actually do have a kind of half and half thing. Okay, thanks. I like it too. It's a lot easier and it's a lot safer because I don't have to keep going to the hairdressers.
Right.
Because I was having to touch this up. I mean, you understand.
Yeah, me too.
Having to touch it up every week because it's really, really white. And this is really, really not. Yeah,
I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, you wouldn't.
When they do my roots, it's a whole thing. So apparently you have a good story about your audition for The Working Girl.
Not The Working Girl.
Working Girl.
Whoa.
The Working Girl audition.
My Working Girl audition was
when you were a working girl.
Yes, when it was basically kind of straight out of drama school. It was like the year later, and I was very proud of myself. I was just like, ooh, I do it all. I'll just do it. After 3 years in drama school of being the absolute, just kind of the lowest on the totem pole, the workhorse, giving me that little role that she'll make funny. And then I did a big thing. I took a big chance at my big audition at the league auditions, and it ended up paying off. And suddenly I went from being good old Amy to everybody wants to sign Amy. And so I was like, I got propelled out of drama school, for which I'm eternally grateful. Although for the first several years, I thought, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out this was a big mistake. But I had this audition for Working Girl, and went into, it was, gigantic casting director. What was her name? And then, of course, the director, Mike Nichols. So we did it in Mike Nichols' office with the casting director there, and the scene was me on the telephone, my character on the telephone, and I just, we chatted for a little while first, and he said, "Okay, would you want to do the scene?" So nice. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Is it okay if I use your desk?" So I ended up putting my feet up on Mike Nichols' desk and picking up his telephone. And that's how I auditioned. And I got the job. But he could not have been sweeter. The really cool thing was when we went to shoot that scene, one scene, I got paid 1 day minimum at SAG at that time, minimum. But we go in to shoot it, and you have to understand, all I've been doing is theater. I've done maybe one television thing or something. Well, I had done some sitcom stuff where it was just very theatrical. I mean, sitcoms are basically little plays that you do, and you have an audience, and you're not aware of mics or anything because they're following you with the mics. So this is my first movie, and we were shooting in an actual working office. They had a couple of empty offices where we were working. And so the first take of me on the phone was the camera and the director and everybody was outside in the hall and they're shooting through the door. And I'm at the desk, feet up, looking out the window on the phone. And we do one take and they cut and Mike comes over, he says, Amy, that was great. That was just terrific. Now, I want you to know that we actually have a microphone that's hanging right over your head. So you don't have to worry about us hearing you out in the hall. Because I was projecting like crazy because I know how to do this. And all I ever did was stage. Yeah. But he could not. I mean, it should have been mortifying as hell.
Right.
But he was so nice about it that it wasn't. And it was fine. And then that was magic because I could just whisper.
Well, because he was a smart guy, and he also worked in stage a lot. And he knew that what you needed to learn was a minor technical thing, not an internal acting thing.
That's right.
He was smart enough and kind enough just to give you. It's the exercise that I do with my students who have done nothing but stage and are doing their first camera class, and they all fall into that same trap. Is I have them do their scene and they do it big like they're on stage. And then I say, okay, we're going to do it again. And I turn to the class and I say, everybody stand up and come here. And everybody comes up and stands right around him.
Oh, what a brilliant idea.
And I say, now do the scene again for them. And they're all 1.5 feet away. And they get very small and quiet.
Wow.
And all of the work is there.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. That is so cool. That's kind of like what the camera does.
It's exactly what the camera does. Yeah. Let's watch that scene because that's a great scene. I love that scene.
Oh,
and and the fact that this is really your first work on film is to me extraordinary because it's a really memorable scene. Let's give it a watch.
Thanks.
Semi-human.
Oh, I didn't hear you come in. I'm Alice Baxter.
Tess McGill.
I was just using the phone.
Yes, well, that happens.
How about some coffee?
Sure, just tell me where.
No, I'll get it. Oh, how?
Milk and sugar, please. Thank you.
Ms. McGill.
Yes.
That's your desk. In there.
I don't think so.
Oh, yes. I sit out here.
Sorry, I thought the secretary would sit out here.
That's right. I'm the secretary. If it's okay, I prefer assistant. You've got a 10 o'clock meeting with Slater from development here, 11 o'clock with Donahue from logistics, his office on 23, and lunch with Mr. Trask, his office downtown, 1 o'clock. It's all right there in the computer. Just hit Shift S for your schedule.
That's pretty cool.
My advice to actors is if you're gonna only have one scene in a movie, let it be the scene where the heroine attains her dream. She couldn't have been nicer too, and she was going through all kinds of, breakup woes and things like that. And she was so sweet. But it's a lie. It's kind of a lovely scene. How about that hair, huh? How about that
hair was pretty.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It got a separate paycheck. Actually, it was one of the more frustrating things because they waited. Obviously, they shot my close-up like way at the end, and by then my hair was like falling. So I was sneaking off into the bathroom and like trying to get it out of my head because this look is just not as good as that look.
Now, I'm also told that you have a story. I'm told by my friend Scott Allen Smith that you have a story about the URTAs and Edie Falco.
Well, it wasn't. It was the league auditions. Yeah. So at the end of at the time, this was years ago. Each year, the top, like, what was it, 12 acting schools would bring their graduating classes into New York for a weekend and everybody had 3 minutes. So most people did like 2 3-minute seats. And they would invite in all the casting directors and agents from across the country. And this is how they would introduce their classes. And this was where you would hope to get agents. So I had, like I said, I was kind of the utility player, if that's the correct sports term, because I'm not like really into athletics, but it was like, bring her in if you got something very specific. But I chose for one of my 2 scenes to do a scene from Agnes of God, which was not a play that I admired particularly, but I was a specific actress that I wanted to work with in my class, Kimberly Arn, and my other scene, I was playing Kate from Kiss Me Kate, or not Kiss Me Kate, from Tammy of the Shrew. So I want to do somebody like put together, professional, urban, because that's what I figured I would get cast as. Anyway, so we decided to do it, but rather than doing it straight, we kind of did our own interpretation of it, which was as it was written, but she played like a totally nymphomaniac Agnes, who's this nun. The story being that this dead fetus is discovered in the trash can in this young nun's room, and they bring in a psychologist who's an atheist and a chain smoker and pretty neurotic to try to figure out what happened, because Agnes is not being forthcoming about it. And so I played the psychologist because it was a good role for me, and she played Agnes, but I played the psychologist as just totally complete insane, neurotic. She smoked and chain smoked. I got like the longest cigarette I could find, and I got a lighter, and I turned it to like the highest flame I could make, and we did it for the people in my class and the dean and others beforehand, and they were like, "This is terrible. This is blasphemous. They are talking about a dead baby, and you are making a joke out of it." And it's like, yeah, but if they don't get this, then they don't get us. So we're going to do it because we thought it was really funny and we loved doing it. So we did it, and the audience, which typically literally does not make a peep, there is no laughter. All they're doing is just taking notes, because it's just about, okay, let's find the next Meryl Streep. Let's type whatever.
Right.
And they're generally absolutely silent. And when they figured out what we were doing, also I lucked out because my voice was blown out from doing these 2 little parts and 2 shows 2 weeks before. And I was smoking. And I sounded like Elizabeth Ashley. So I had this really low voice, and I'm smoking like crazy. And Elizabeth Ashley had done it on Broadway. So that was just pure coincidence. I wasn't thinking that at all.
Right.
And they went crazy, and they were laughing and stomping their feet and applauding and blah, blah, blah. And suddenly I went from like good old Amy to everybody wants to sign Amy. And about 5 years ago at the SAG Awards, I was a secretary treasurer, so I was at the awards, and I saw Edie, who was nominated, of course, again. So I went over to her and said, "Hi, I just want to congratulate you on your nomination and just let you know, I just think you're so wonderful. I just adore Nurse Jackie." And she said, "I know who you are." I was like, "Oh, okay." She said, No, actually, we graduated the same year. She graduated from NYU. Same year I graduated from Yale. She said, "Yeah, I saw your audition." And I thought, oh, great. The one other Italian-American woman the whole weekend, and she fucking blows him away. I am screwed. And I was like, well, I think things worked out pretty well for you. But I'm sorry if I gave you a start at the time.
Yeah. No.
And now what's hilarious is the older I get, the more she and I look the same. I mistook me for Edie Falco when I looked at myself and like somebody had taken a picture of me on set. And I was like, what is it? Oh, wait, that's me.
Well,
and
they basically stole your character
for the
promoted her to chief of the LAPD and created a TV series called Tommy.
I know.
It's
I never
basically Lieutenant Grace Billets becomes chief of police.
I just want to play. I mean, I think she's so brilliant at everything she does. And I did love Nurse Jackie. And I thought, oh my God, she's got to have a fucking sister. I mean, we really have got to play sisters. So at the SAG Awards, I'd walk by the red carpet. I was never nominated, and I learned, because I would go for years because I was an officer and I'd stay behind the people who are getting pictures. So I'm walking behind and I hear the people in the bleachers and they're like, Amy. And I look around. Like, hey, Amy. And they're looking at me and they said, yeah. I'm like, well, isn't that sweet? I will go over and I'll greet my public, my adoring fans. So I go under the red carpet and say, yes, I do have time for you. And this guy reaches down from the bleachers, this giant poster of Nurse Jackie. And I'm like, I have some bad news for you.
Yeah,
I am not Edie Falco.
Oh, gosh.
Bless her little hearts. But we do. We are looking so similar. Except, she's so fair, just blue eyes and that. But other than that, it's pretty funny.
My only good SAG Awards story was that I was there as a guest when my dad was nominated for something, and I'm walking at a respectful distance behind him down the red carpet. And you know how when you see something out of the corner of your eye when you know something bad is going to happen? I saw like a flash out of the corner of my eye, and I just instinctively went like that and reached out. And Kevin Dillon was walking down the red carpet and had turned and was waving to the cameras right where there was a seam in the carpet, and he caught his toe. And he was going down. And by reacting, I grabbed him and stopped him from falling. And he just kind of kept waving and went, thanks, dude. And then about an hour later, we're under the big tent eating the hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And I'm, again, standing at a respectful distance from my dad while he's being interviewed by E! Or whatever. And I'm looking around and I see Kevin Dillon all the way across, 50 yards away. And he's looking around and he sees me and he just goes, he knew that had he done a face plant in front of the cameras, it would have been a very bad thing.
Oh,
SAG Awards story. That's all I got.
I've got some others, I think, but I was there when Bradley Cooper. Remember this? He was on the red carpet, and there's a great picture of me actually going. because I happen to be right behind him. He's standing there with somebody else super famous. And this guy comes running out, and he's got a tag and everything, and kneels in front of Bradley Cooper. And he just stays there and he won't leave. And it's like he's adjusting something. That's what I thought at first. He's adjusting something. And then I realized, oh no, he's just
Kneeling.
trying to have his face in Bradley Cooper's crotch. And the picture of me like leaning around it's worth it. I should bring it up for you. I'll show it to you at some point.
Then you have you have a great story about George C. Scott.
Oh yeah, it's that was an early on. Oh, remember the days of movies of the week. Movies of the week. We called them MOWs because there were so many and we didn't have time to just keep saying movies of the week. So we called them MOWs. They don't exist anymore. And so anybody who's under 45.
I did one in 1975.
Yes, you did. Oh my God. You were an infant.
I was 15.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not lying. What'd you do?
I've had my SAG card since I was 8, baby.
They just pimped you right out. I want to see.
Right out.
I want to see your headshots. I bet you were cute as a button.
When I was 8.
Yeah.
I was 8. Adam was 11. We did a movie together.
What movie?
It's a short film called People Soup.
People Soup.
It was nominated for Best Short in 1969.
Who wrote it and directed? Your dad? Was your
dad
dad?
wrote it and directed it.
Oh my God.
But then in 75, I did a Kojak with Eli Wallach, and the cast in this Kojak: Eli Wallach, F. Murray Abraham, Mike Gazzo, who else was in it? Yeah, a couple of Charlie Kimbrough.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Jerry Orbach. It was this amazing cast in this episode of Kojak.
There were only 3 networks.
That's true.
And that is how you made your living. If you didn't, and that's why there were just these, amazing people doing. I did my first thing on television was Andy Borowitz, who's a brilliant political humorist.
Yeah, awesome.
I went to college with him, and he hired me to play this Italian maid in a show called Easy Street that starred Lonnie Anderson, and she's a widow of this, she's just this, poor white trash who marries this guy, and then he really super rich guy, and then he dies. So she brings her crazy uncle and his best friend to live at her mansion, and her brother and sister-in-law, I guess brother-in-law and sister-in-law, whatever, lived there too. The brother-in-law and sister-in-law, I mean, this lasted, we did, I don't know, 8 episodes, 10, maybe they did a season. The brother and sister-in-law were Jamie Cromwell and Dana Ivey.
Oh my God. In
this crazy little sitcom. It was just, that's the kind of thing you got at that time. So what was I talking? Oh, we were talking the movie of the week. This is actually, this may be actually a little more interesting because my first thing in television was this thing that I did in television. I had to sing opera in French while vacuuming, playing an Italian immigrant, because there were a lot of Italian immigrants in Hollywood at that time. And I was the Italian maid. It was my mother's, one of her very favorite roles that I played until I carried a gun. I'm still friends with Andy to this day, and I just think he's brilliant. And if you ever get to see his show live, you have to see it. And then if you want a t-shirt that says "Make America Not Embarrassing Again," go to his website. It's such a nice t-shirt because it's not like anti anything. It's just like, let's do it. And I don't care who does it. Just let's do that thing. Yeah. Who can argue? Who can argue? So George C. Scott, though, he was just great. This is a TV movie, and it was Julianne Moore's, like, one of her first things out of, she had been doing soap operas, and Eric Roberts and George C. Scott. But it was this moment you asked before about technique and method, etc. And he was getting ready to go out. He was a wonderful raconteur, just great. And he had these stories, went on forever. And so we would be standing off camera with him. He had this big, like, really emotional scene to go into. Honey Balaam. I did it once. I was able to do it once because you got the jaws. He was able. So he'd be there telling us this story that was going to be really funny. And then they'd say, and action. He'd say, I'll be right back. And then he'd go and he'd be like, oh, and he'd do this very emotional scene. And he'd cut. All right. So anyway, I woke up to him. It's like, okay, this is acting.
Yeah.
And all that shit that I just learned at Yale. The faces, but he could do it because he had it inside and he could just do it, and you believed him and it made sense on camera.
And there are certain people who know how to, there are certain people who have to take a lot of steps to get to the well. And there are certain people who live right next to the well.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It is so true.
I noticed, you and I in rehearsal have very different approaches. I call your approach is no until it's yes. And my approach is yes until it's no.
Well, don't give me a bad reputation. I'm actually very easy to work with. I'm relatively okay. I am worth it. I'm going to say that. I am worth it. You just have to.
If they told me I had a chance to go to Elyria, Ohio to work with you, I would do it.
Is there a theater in Elyria?
I don't think there is a theater in Elyria.
Well, let's start one.
But I spent a night in Elyria once, and it's not a place I would want to go back to.
Oh, was this on your road trip back to your mom's?
No, this was my first drive cross country, which was when I got out of college.
Oh. What happened to you in Elyria? Do we want to know?
It's just nowhere. It is absolutely nowhere in the middle of Ohio. It's like, I'm tired. It's time to find a motel and go to sleep. And it happened to be in Elyria, Ohio, which I've never heard of before or since.
Is it still around? I wonder if is anyone left.
Yeah, I don't know. I should check it out. But no, I would. It's incredibly fun to be on stage with you.
And back the fuck at you. I mean, it's just, what's interesting is we didn't know each other when we. I had heard of you, and I met you that one time.
Met several times, and I'd been rude to you, I think.
Just rude and cranky. You were just rude. It was cranky Matthew. And I love your brother. I had a great relationship with Adam. And so it was like, oh, God, here's Matthew. And I saw you in that play, and you were so great. And I told you that. And you were like, thanks. And I was like, okay, well, somebody had a bad day, month, year.
We all had a bad day on that play. Do you know why?
No.
We all had a bad day because we were all doing a world premiere of a new Richard Greenberg play.
Yeah.
And Richard Greenberg plays go mostly from South Coast Rep to Broadway.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of rehearsal and we found out, oh no, this play he doesn't want this play to go to Broadway.
Oh my God.
And we were all, and I had another offer and turned it down to do that play because I called Adam and I said, I've been offered these two plays, this other one and this Richard Greenberg play at South Coast Rep. What's your advice? And he said, go do the Richard Greenberg play at South Coast Rep. It's going to go back to, his plays go back to New York. And in the middle of rehearsal, we found out, no, he doesn't want this to go to New York.
Because it was too personal. It was about his mom.
It was about his mom. And it's like, it'll go to New York when his mom passes away. And it did. And I don't know if you know this, but I was not in it when it went to New York. None of us were, it was,
Yeah.
it was 9 or 10 years later.
Yeah. Because I did see it on Broadway. Because Richard was a year ahead of me at Yale. I knew him, but okay, so that's why you were also fucking. Because Jenny O'Hara wasn't so cranky when I talked to her. She's a friend, but you were just kind of cranky. But in any case, then when we went to do that table reading of our first play together, it was just so interesting because we just did it, and we went, oh,
Yeah, it was one of those. I know this person.
I know this person. I know this relationship. We're married. We've
Yeah.
always been married, and it was done. We
Yeah.
kind of did all the work we needed to do on that
In the
first
re-
day.
in the
Then
rest
we
of-
had to go through 4 weeks of rehearsal.
We
Like,
did
oh
all the
my
work we
God.
needed to do for those roles in the rest of our lives.
I found one. I told you I want to do this play with you. We're going to contact John Tenney. I told him we're going to do a reading of it, this other play.
I'm available.
So I see, except you're in fucking New York, but it doesn't matter because
Right.
of technology.
And when there's a vaccine, I'm coming back. So,
Okay. All right. End of 2021.
Well, whenever things open up again and we can be in the same room and work together, I'll be there to work with you.
Okay. Well, we can do it this way too. We can Zoom.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've enjoyed. I've been blown away. Little Emily James, she did this amazing play. Zoom. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love her so much. And she, Eleanor, do we lose Eleanor? You have to see Emily James's play that she did. She keeps doing these Zoom play readings. She did this one and she blew me away. I mean, she was so good in it. And I was very moved, even though it was like all these, talking heads. It still totally worked for me.
Yeah.
So we can do it.
Okay. Well, I have asked you all of my questions.
Well, I am wearing a wig on the show this year.
Oh, okay.
Question you didn't ask. I haven't in the past. I have my own trailer this year just because of COVID. I've never had my own trailer. I've always had just like I would bring my toothbrush, a little plastic container and take it home with me. That's how fancy I am. But this year, I got my own trailer. I could bring my cappuccino machine in.
This isn't the last. Did they announce that this is the last season, or it is the last season?
Yeah.
Damn, I still thought there was going to be a chance to get a middle-aged Jew detective on that show someday. Guess not.
Thinking not. Although I co-hosted the police. No, it's the Twice a Citizen Awards, which is for the police reserves. And one of the honorees this year was a rabbi, an active rabbi who's
Barrel. Yeah.
What's that?
They have Crate and Barrel. I thought I could have been like Kanish, maybe, or something.
And we don't. Do we have any? We don't have a single Jew on the show. Not that's like recognizable.
Yeah.
We're kind of old school here. Although it was, I don't know. I'm sorry. I did what I could. So
I did a Jewish detective on Aquarius back in the '60s. They had a Jewish detective on the LAPD.
On what show was this? Aquarius?
Aquarius, the David Duchovny show.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of don't.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll be contacting the JDL about that.
You get to the JDL on that.
Yeah.
And diversity. What is up with that? Come on, you got white people, you got brown people, you got black people. Where are the Jews?
Where are the Jews on
Where are the Jews?
Yeah.
They were here first.
Yeah. They wandered in the desert and they ended up in
Hollywood.
In Van Nuys.
In fucking Hollywood, I swear. And they changed the world right from Hollywood.
We did.
It's true.
Well,
It's
it
true.
is,
Although you know that women were the first filmmakers in Hollywood. You knew that, right?
I did know that. Yes.
Yes.
Well, it has been lovely to catch up with you.
You too. I hope it wasn't too boring for everybody, for both the watching people, for whoever was watching. Eleanor, she's gone. I guess she had a show to go to.
She had a show to do.
She's heard all the stories. Eleanor played my sister. Gorgeous for those who are watching. My sister and in the Sisters Rosenzweig.
Yes.
And that's how we got to know each other. And our dressing rooms were adjacent. And she's a brilliant, brilliant actress and singer, Yiddish singer. And she's probably gone because it's Yom Kippur. Did you realize that, Mr. Jew?
I'm bad.
What do we? You're really bad. And I've lost all credibility as she's not Jewish, but plays one on TV. All right. Go in a tone. You need to go in a tone.
I'm
going to go eat some pork.
Okay.
Because I'm not actually Jewish, but you need to fucking atone.
All
okay?
right. I'll get right on that.
Get on it. All right. Love you, my friend.
It's been great to have you. And we're going to roll the ending credits.
Okay. I'm going to watch them.
And if you're watching, please remember to subscribe to this channel. And when you do, click the bell icon so that you get notified of all the upcoming live streams. And join us on Wednesday night for the Arkin Brothers Talk About Movies at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. This week we are discussing 1984's The Little Drummer Girl, directed by George Roy Hill and starring Diane Keaton.
All right.
So join me and my brothers for that one. And have a good evening.